Don't worry, I know I told you yesterday I'm a newlywed. So this isn't about Dave. This is about something far, far more important. Again, please do not tell Dave. But this is about the fact that, so I'm a music nerd. I could recite Factory Records catalogue numbers. I once won 3 years of Spotify premium membership because I won a pop quiz that was meant to be won by teams of 6. I won it on my own. Everything from Motown to grime and back again. But the heartbreaking thing is I can't play a note. And I got thrown out of the only band I've ever been in. So there I am on stage at the Social many years ago with the fabulous Piney gear. The band decided to end. The band split up, but then they reformed half an hour later without me. Because although I could do the la la la's and the do do do's as a backing singer, I couldn't also do Shaky Egg. And apparently that's very important, and I just couldn't do it. So, it's pretty heartbreaking that would happen to me. And then, as time went on, and I started looking into AI and music, artificial intelligence, and music creation, I've suddenly had a great idea, because I don't need to have any musical skill. It seems. What I could do is just, enjoy the brave new world of AI music creation, right? This is great. This is the inside of my head right now. That's what the inside of my head looks like right now. Because the world is shiny and new and exciting, isn't it? Woohoo! Except AI music isn't all that new. In fact, Jean-Michel Jarre was ripping up synths and recreating things and getting the machines to do the work for him in the 70s, feeding in out inputs, getting out different outputs. And he's still involved, he's still pioneering, this time in sort of for global rights and making sure that people are getting paid fairly. So, yay, Jean-Michel. And in fact, so that stuff was way, way ago. But even since sort of 2015-ish, this has been something that is up and running and getting to be pretty commonplace. So this is another Frenchman who, I almost said Jacques Cousteau. I think it's because I'm looking at the water behind you. It's not Jacques Cousteau. There's a guy called Francois Pachet who oversaw a project with in Sony research labs in Paris, putting together something, they call it flow machines, and they basically fed it the entire Beatles back catalogue, and out popped a new Lennon-McCartney song, right? And when I say out, it pops. It composed it, but it still took musicians to play it, and it still took somebody to write the lyrics and sing over the top. It's all about Daddy's car. We're going out in Daddy's car. And it does sound quite Lennon-McCartney. It's not that great, but it does sound quite Lennon-McCartney. But, fast forward a couple of years, and now you've got artists who are making music using multiple AI sort of applications. There is a girl called Taryn Southern, who is making whole albums using artificial intelligence generated music that she's working with. So it's not like she's pressing a button and out pops a song. But it is a good example. I wouldn't say it's necessarily good music. Each to his own. I think the lyrics need some work. But it is worth sort of checking out the kind of things that are being done there. Trying to do two things at once is really difficult, by the way, for me. So this is great, right? So I can be a pop star now, and I just have to find the right sort of apps to do it. And the apps tend to fall into two broad camps. There's one kind of thing that makes it easy for a person like me, a single person, to make music. And then there are apps that are more towards sort of making production music. And the first one, this is a pretty new one. This is Alicia. I'm laughing at Stu Dredge because it was on Stu's Facebook that he posted. Stu had been playing with this, and you made a corker of a pop song. Yeah, it's quite something, yes. And download it. This is available to download. So it's Alicia, Alysia. It's on the App Store. You pick your sort of your background style. I went for a disco country kind of thing. And then you can choose your melody line. And you can either get the app to write some lyrics for you, or you write your own. I wrote something about how the power, in your pocket is faster than Elon in his rocket or something. I mean, it was terrible. Absolutely terrible, but sort of brilliant. So do have a go, do have a play with it. It's quite a lot of fun, really. There's a name you might have heard of in this space, which is Duke Deck. It's been around as sort of the great white hope of AI music for quite some time, actually. I think that was a 2015, late 2015 sort of entrant to the market. Basically, this is like the easiest way to create music, a one-stop shop. Right. I need a piece of music. It has to be 32 seconds long. It needs to be upbeat and, to go underneath my YouTube video. And bing, 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 out pops the song. You can license it for £1.99 or you can buy it for £199 and it's yours to do whatever you want with. Which is, when it started, this sounded really shonky. The 2015 version was pretty plinky plonk, and now I think it's pretty good, actually. I'm not saying it's entirely, you couldn't mistake it for a human, but it's pretty easy to fool people, I would say. Now, Amper is a really interesting one. So they started out like Duke Deck, and a couple of things have happened. They realised they shut down their composer tool in September, and then a couple of weeks ago now came back and said, right, we're just focusing on bigger industry, kind of, so people using it on sort of an industrial scale to do production music. Amper Score is what they call it. I shall read you from their press release from a couple of weeks ago. Using the Amper Score platform, content teams, so industrial scale, can create and edit music to accompany videos, podcasts, and many other types of content. Score's workflow allows users to upload videos, spot key moments in project timelines, and render original compositions in real time in dozens of different musical styles. They reckon it saves 90% of time for sourcing and editing music for this kind of project. On top of that, they just announced that they've done a deal with the world's biggest streaming service. Does anyone know what the world's biggest streaming service is? Serious question. YouTube. It's QQ, owned by Tencent. And so doing a deal with them to be able to say, right, on a mass scale, you can be, producing production music. It's quite interesting. You got, another French one. This is Ava, artificial intelligence virtual artist. Go to their website, it's all totes emosh. It's all about making passionate music for the films. I went slightly German, didn't it? And it's all about sort of, they talk so much about making emotional music with their device. They think that, and it's all been trained on classical music, so it's Bach and Beethoven and stuff. They have highlighted potential for personalisation, so becomes sort of context-driven as well, wherever you are, which is interesting. The really interesting thing, though, is that Ava, who they do call she and her as the pronouns they use for that, has now been registered with the Authors' Rights Society. She is becoming real. I'm going to have to whiz through these because Chris has just said, you've only got 5 minutes. Pop Gun, Wicked, Pop Gun. Oh, it's yellow. So it had gone white earlier, thanks, Si. Pop Gun started out as being trained on all the hits on Spotify, and they thought they were going to write hits from it. And then they decided they were playing about with a bit of a composition thing and came up with Alice, and Alice could play piano alongside you. So you'd play a bit, Alice would play a bit. That's all nice. I think this is my route out of here because now it does drums and it does bass as well, and I don't need a sodding band, okay? So you can split up and leave me behind. I can form my own band, and it's going to be called Pop Gun, so stick that. There's another one, Melodrive, which is fantastic at making music for games. And it can change the music as you're playing. So if you're suddenly stuck in a corner with loads of people shooting at you, it will reflect that. And likewise, if you're, running around or as you slow, the music slows, etc., which is really amazing. I'm really going to rattle through this. AI Music, who hold a special place in my heart, they are doing something called shape shifting, where they can take a piece of music and say it's a 70s disco stomper, but you want to, and you love that song, but you want to do yoga to it, basically, they can shift that song. I'm not just talking about taking the vocal line or the melody line and sticking it over something chill wave. They actually it builds and drops where the song is supposed to. It is quite amazing. I recommend you looking into that. For the artists, Amadeus Code, it's a songwriting assistant. I think it basically it can show songwriters ideas for them to then play with, or not, as they choose to. Have I gone to it yet? Endel, you can also download, I think. Endel, I love this bit. It says it creates adaptive music based on circadian rhythms, pentatonic scale, and sound masking, which sounds like something someone would say to you in the Stone Circle at 4 a.m. at Glastonbury, if you ask me. Those people aren't to be trusted. But it does take in sort of what the weather is like and where you are, so context-based, which I think is something more interesting. Oh, and also they were part of the Alexa accelerator. So these are going to be the ones to watch in terms of voice. And as people were talking about yesterday, sort of voice assistants are going to become major players in this area. Next, actually, we can skip the next one. Let's skip the next one and go straight to the fact that now I can be a pop star. Right, so I can be a pop star. There I am, like a judge on The Voice. This is going to be brilliant, isn't it? Because now I don't need to be a musician, do I? Why do we need musicians? Evs. But there is something to bear in mind here, which is that I'm not a musician. I don't have any musical talent. My mum says that I've got lots of talents, but being a musician isn't one of them. And I think she's just being nice. The fact is that why should I be a pop star or a musician? I don't have any right to be. I can do lots of other things, but yeah, this isn't one of them. And I think what people would say is, well, it's not quite like this. AI will never make somebody a pop star on its own, right? You'll never sell out the O2. These guys here could sell out the O2 for anything. Thanks, girls. But I don't think that that's what's going to happen here in the short term. In the short term, AI music is a brilliant tool for musicians. Just like when a drum machine came in, or, samplers. I think it's another tool. I do think, however, that the pace of change of technology has caught us out before, and that humans are maybe not necessarily ready and equipped to deal with that pace, and that ultimately, I think, 10 years ago, we didn't think we'd be carrying around something that was more powerful than the computers that sent the rocket, to the moon in our pockets. And so I think that the rate of change will mean that AI music does continue to develop and will become something that you can't tell the difference just, listening to it, that it's not been made by humans. But of course, we know that music is far more than just what's in those grooves. And it's about personality and it's about context. And so there's a lot more to discuss. But in the meantime, do have a play around and use those apps at will. And maybe you too can write a disco country stomper like me. Thank you very much.